want to talk a little about Arik Armstead. And I want to make it very clear. I am not talking about Javon Kinlaw. I am talking about Armstead. I don't know him. I think he's a pretty good player. I don't think he's a great player, but I think he's a force. I think he's valuable to the team, and I think he's essential to the team. I also know he does literacy projects in Sacramento, and so my feeling is he's a very good person, and what he's doing in Sacramento is valuable. And I understand he's probably, in his mind, defending a teammate. Okay, I respect that. But I want to criticize him. And this is why. He's been putting up tweets and whatever crap, I don't know what they're called, and saying that Grant is going around the facility, the Niners facility, wanting to get hit so he can sue the player and retire.
Yeah.
And Armstead is actually writing that. And what I want to say is it's irresponsible and it's untrue. And while we're talking about being adults, I know all about quoting. I was a writer for newspapers for 40 years. If you're going to take a quote out of context, you need to explain why you've done that, or you shouldn't do it. So, Iggy, tell him what you actually said, and let's compare that to what Armstead is writing.
What I actually said, someone asked, were you afraid when Javon Kinlaw approached you on the field? And I said, no. And I knew that if he touched me, then I would sue him and I would become a multimillionaire and retire. And that was a funny way of saying, I was joking. Of course, I don't want to get punched. It was a funny way of saying there were hundreds of witnesses. I know a person isn't going to assault me in front of witnesses and cameras. I mean, everyone knows that. You told me that from a very long time ago. They're not going to touch you, Grant, athletes in general. So I was sort of prepared. I was very surprised that he touched my hat because that's kind of like touching me. But he was never going to punch me in front of 100 people. I mean, I didn't think he was going to ruin his career that day is what I was trying to say. I don't know. Armstead's interpreting it like I want to ruin players' careers.
That's right. So
what ruin anyone's career?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what Armstead is doing is actually modifying what you said in such a way to make it untrue.
Right.
What he's saying, and portraying what you said is untrue.
Right.
So I'm calling you out, Arik Armstead. I think you must be a very nice man. I love what you're doing up in Sacramento, but I'm calling you out as a journalist. What you did was irresponsible and not in anyone's interest, not in the team's interest. The team, by the way, is very much behind Grant on this. Not in the team's interest, not in Javon's interest, not in your interest, Arik. So you can keep putting that stuff up. But I'm calling you out and saying that you've been irresponsible. You've not acted like the grown-up that I think you are. And if you were a journalist, your editor would drag you into his office or her office and tell you you can no longer do things like this.
And stop bothering SI Now on Twitter. I write for Fan Nation, which is part of the Sports Illustrated network. SI Now is different. Leave them alone. I don't work for them. He's complaining about them to me. You know what I'm saying? About me to them. I don't work for them. I work for Fan Nation, which is part of the Sports Illustrated network. That's the branding. It's important to get the branding right.
Okay, say the branding again.
Fan Nation, part of the Sports Illustrated network. That's what I'm in. It is not right to Sports Illustrated or to me, Arik, to erroneously connect me to SI Now. It's not what I work for. Fan Nation, part of the Sports Illustrated network. It's important to get, hey, man, you're quoting, you're attributing, got to get it right. Got to get it right. Walter Payton Man of the Year finalist. You got to get this stuff right. All right. Thank you, Arik. Ethan M says, do you think maybe some comments you make cross the line of criticism and trolling? You stated there is a big gray area. I try not to cross the line. To me, the line is talking about personal stuff. Like things I don't know. He's not a hard worker. I don't know that. I would never say that about someone. He doesn't love football. I don't know that. I would never say that about someone. So that would be crossing the line. I don't know. Maybe I do sometimes.
I have other ways that you could cross the line, and one never does. I used to travel a lot, with teams. I knew what players were cheating on their wives.
Ooh,
You know that.
ooh.
No one writes that stuff.
Mm-mm.
That's crossing a line
Yep.
because it's personal. It doesn't have anything to do with what's happening on the baseball field or the football field or the basketball court. You stay away from things like that. Let people work out their own marriages. So you stay away from that sort of personal stuff. Yes, Iggy.
Another way crossing the line, something that's off the record, taking it public. So, like, let's say I went yesterday after the meeting with Lynch and Javon. Hey, here's what we said. Here's everything that would happen. That would be crossing the line. That would be violating everyone's trust. Big time.
Yes.
Big time.
But Iggy, I want to come back to Armstead for a minute because you're a little worked up today. When you were saying get the fan nation right, you weren't really angry about Armstead.
No.
You were joking, right?
Joking.
Because what happened?
Branding matters.
Okay, no. Explain what happened with the SI people.
Well, when this happened, I just talked to my bosses at SI. Everything's cool. But what happened was, like, when this went viral and, like, New York Post wrote about it, TMZ wrote about it, and some people said Grant Cohn of Sports Illustrated. I'm not a full-time employee of Sports Illustrated. I work for Fan Nation, which is associated with Sports Illustrated. So they're just like, hey, man, like, this is too bad. We want it. It's just us. It's not Sports Illustrated. And I think there was just some confusion. And I have to, in the future, as you know, I no longer have Sports Illustrated behind me. We're trying to get the branding right because Fan Nation is coming up. It's an internet thing. And I'm proud of it. We're all proud of ourselves.
Okay.
So I say Fan Nation with pride from my chest.
So, Eric, in the future, when you want to criticize Grant, say whatever you want. Although I hope you say things that are accurate. Say whatever you want, but associate him with Fan Nation, part of the SI network, as opposed to SI.